All right, everybody, welcome back. Today we are doing a water pump located right down there. First things first is we got to take off the turbo induction system right here. We're just going to take off the tube area, so just this piece here. Next thing I'm going to do is disconnect these clips right here. Disconnect this one off of the shroud. We're not going to remove the hose just yet. I'm just trying to make some room so we can get the shroud off. Once you have all the clamps removed, you can just move this hose out of the way. Same thing for the upper radiator hose. There's two 10 millimeters right here. I'm going to take those off, and then you have those clips right down there where my finger's at. I'm going to take those off, and then we'll be able to pull this shroud out. There's one thing that's going to come out of this repetitive video is I'm going to show you how to use these two shroud bolts to get the pulley off, or not the pulley, the fan. Get the fan off. Once those four clips are removed and the two screws, you can just pull this out. There's so much room for activities. All right, next thing I'm going to do is take the fan off. So I'm going to come back to the two 10 millimeter bolts that we had. You're not going to thread them in, but what you're going to do is you're going to place two inside of the holes right there. So just slide one in. And slide the second one in. So now, I got these tools online pretty cheap. They're like 15 or 17 bucks. So once you slide those two bolts in, you could take your bar, and it's just like a Ford or any other vehicle. Now you can hold it. And once you break it loose, it just comes right off. No fighting, no fuss, nothing. And you just got to get a grip on these and slide them right back out. Works every time. Next thing I'm going to do is remove the torque tensioner here. This is where all your horsepower comes from, and it's supplied to the engine. This is what gets you the 50 horsepower increase. And then we're going to take this belt off. So I got the belt off. Normally I wouldn't take the AC belt off, but I see a little crack right there. It's not a huge deal, but I'm already right here, and I'm pretty sure I have a warranty on it. So I'm going to take it off and inspect it, see where I got it from, and see if I can get it replaced. Next thing I'm going to work on is removing the hoses. You got the upper, the lower, your heater cores over here. Your coolant tank is right there. And then from there, we just remove the pump. It's going to be six bolts, and then you're going to have a couple more right here for the tensioner. You need to remove this. So that's the three right there, and three under there. And then this is going to come out. I have not drained the radiator yet, so I have not buckets, but oil pan catchers down there. And I'm going to remove the lower first so I can control it, and then it'll go down straight into the containers. Next, I'm going to remove the tensioner. And then we're going to, well, I already started working on it, but I didn't take them all out. Then we're going to take the pump off. First tensioner, then pump. All right, got the hoses off. I got the pump off. And as you can see, I didn't make a mess at all. Only spilled a couple drops. So I did a really good job at keeping it all contained and keeping it clean. So next thing I'm gonna do is get all this gasket material off, clean the surface here, clean the surface under here, and then we're gonna reinstall. Got one cleaned up. I just need to scrape it with the razor a little bit, then gotta do that one. Surfaces are all clean. You can tell that they're clean because of the way that they are. So we can move on. So shiny. Put the new water pump, new gaskets. Let's throw it in. So what I'm going to do is try to insert it onto the engine block with these in there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to thread the tops first so that they hold the gasket in place, and then I'm going to move to this one and then to the bottom one, because these two are pretty much what's going to hold the gaskets in place. So I'm going to try to thread those in first, starting with the top, and then we'll do the torque sequence after. Hand tighten all the bolts first. Make sure that they're not cross-threaded. And then once they bottom out, I am going to torque them down to 11 foot-pounds first. And then once that's done, then you go back and you do it at 22 foot-pounds. Got the AC belt back on. Got the thermostat lower radiator hose on. Got your tank, and then the heater core lines, those are back on. So now I'm just going to go ahead and tighten up these bolts. We're going to do 11 foot-pounds first, and then we're going to come back and do 22 foot-pounds after we tighten them. Those are all torqued to spec. Those are all connected. Next, I'm going to put on the tensioner, and then we're going to go ahead and put on the serpentine belt. If you forgot which way your belt goes on, they're right here on the front of the truck, front of the engine bay. Got the belt back on. And we're just going to put the upper radiator hose back on, and then we're going to do the fan, and then we just fill it back up with coolant, and we're all done. Let's go ahead and get the fan back on. And then we're just going to snug up that nut. This is a good time to clean your throttle body if it's dirty. So I did that. Everything's put back on. Now we're just putting the shroud back on, and then we're going to fill up the coolant. So that's everything finished. Check for leaks. The bleeding process is pretty easy. All you're going to do is fill up your reservoir until it's almost full. Just get a lot in there, just depending on how much you lost during the process. Mine took about 2 gallons, 2.5 gallons so far. But you run it, turn on your heater. It doesn't matter what setting. I usually do high, you could do low. You're gonna run the heater and allow it all to cycle, allow the engine to get up to operating temperature. And then you're gonna keep checking on the fluid. You have your cold level up over here on the side, and you just keep making sure that it's topped off as it's heating up, and that's pretty much about it. Just make sure that, watch the temperature gauge, make sure it doesn't overheat during the process.